Hi, welcome back. In this video, we're going to jump deeper into the doshas, and we're going to look at the doshas and how they function within the body. So in the last video, I gave you some definitions of the word dosha. Here, we're looking at the functions of kapha, pitta, and vata in our bodies, what they're responsible for. And when we talk about the doshas, we always look at it from the perspective of the positive aspects. And the positive aspects of the dosha are always represented when we're healthy. And then the negative aspects are the tendency of the dosha to accumulate or grow. And that will then lead to symptoms and then maybe full-blown disease. So it's important to understand, as I said in the last video, that the doshas provide us with both a roadmap to wellness, and they also show us our tendency towards disease. And remember, having this knowledge means that we're forearmed. We know what it is that we have to do, or with the help of a practitioner, we know how to steer ourselves back into good health. So let's start at the beginning. And let's talk about what the doshas are responsible for in the body. So they're responsible for the structure and the function of the body, meaning what we look like, and then how the body functions. And the functions that we're primarily concerned with are things like how information comes in, so thinking and expression, the process of circulation, so circulation of blood, the process of digestion and metabolism and elimination. And we're also looking, so that's how structure and function, and then we're also looking at how the doshas affect the mind, meaning how things are coming in through our senses, how we interpret the things that come through our senses, so the emotional component, and then also our spirit and our soul, how it expresses itself based on our percentage of the doshas in our body. So I'm going to start off with kapha, because in the body, kapha represents the major building blocks of the body. It's our foundation, so to speak. Each dosha, from an Ayurvedic perspective, is made up of two elements. And these are just elements that we find in nature. And so kapha dosha is made up of earth and water. And if you think about what earth and water represent in the natural world, earth is all the solid parts. We build our houses on earth. It's the foundation upon which we build things. And then water is the lubricating force in nature. So, rivers and creeks and streams. And it has the same kind of manifestation or meaning in our physical body. So what kapha is responsible for in the body is stability, cohesion of the physical body. It's the main force behind positive health and longevity. And what it does is it promotes proper development of all of our bodily tissues, plus the fluids, so it gives lubrication to the body. And what it does is it provides us with fertility and endurance. That's the positive side. On the negative side, what kapha does is it can promote an accumulation of water, mucus, or fat in the body, and it also can promote obesity. So it's just basically saying that the body is holding on to water. So, and it can manifest as you might have some generalized swelling or water retention. You may find that someone with a lot of kapha has frequent chest issues, so coughs, colds, sinus issues. This is a sign of kapha. Some kind of congestion, a slowing down. Things start to slow down in the body. And so what it does is, when it's negative, it inhibits movement, circulation, and blocks perception. So it's almost like the watery qualities of kapha create, on the one side, they're creating all of this wonderful movement and cohesion, but when there's too much water, now we're getting like a dampness, a coldness, a heaviness in the body. Things start to slow down. Things become congested. So where it can be protective and soothing and nurturing, when it's a positive expression of it, a negative expression of it is that it can become congesting and blocking and inhibiting. There's a weighing down, and that weighing down can be physical, mental, or emotional. There's a holding on to old emotions, old hurts. It's not just like excess weight in the body. Weighing down can come in many forms. It's a kind of a reluctance or an inability to change or to move forward. There's a kind of a stuckness, a stagnation that happens. Psychologically, Kapha promotes patience and devotion and calmness and steadiness. These are the people that you can rely on. They're not going to rock the boat. They're very dependable, very reliable, and Kapha provides us with this lovely, just really nice energy to get through the day. On a negative side, what it does is it promotes desire, greed, attachment, this kind of clinging to the past. So remember when I said the positive: movement, lubrication, stability, cohesion, patience, devotion, strength, fertility. Negative: stuckness, a kind of a being weighed down, whether it's weighed down emotionally through the heart and the lungs, whether it's weighed down by congestion in the body, weighed down by extra weight, weighed down by, not letting go of grievances. These are the positive and the negative. And then lastly, what I wanted to say is that childhood is Kapha time. So from the moment we're born till about 16, when we're, getting into full-blown puberty, now Kapha is this kind of force behind growth, lubrication, cohesion. And so childhood also tends to be a time when we have a lot of mucus. Okay, that's what babies do. But then we outgrow that. So now we go from Kapha to Pitta, and Pitta is the second stage of life. It's that middle part of life from adulthood to about 60 years old. And so Pitta is made up of fire and water, and its role in the body is that it provides light and warmth to the body and the mind. So it's responsible primarily for the digestive process in the body. It's the process behind digestion, where we're breaking down food and transforming it into a usable sort of energy, let's say, or a usable units. It is the force behind our body temperature. So Pitta and the blood are closely associated, provides warmth and luster to the skin. It provides this wonderful body temperature. But too much of it creates a lot of heat in the body. So what happens is that if we have too much heat, it causes both the body and the mind to overheat and burn up. So on the positive side, it's responsible for digestion, metabolism, light, warmth, and the luster in the body, the brightness of the eyes, the sheen of the skin. On the negative side, it is responsible for heat, inflammation, toxicity, fear, and bleeding, because like fire, Pitta creates heat and dampness and gives color to the body. So psychologically, what it does is, when it's balanced, it grants courage and strong will and good intelligence and really great perception. We find people that have good Pitta are passionate, they have great leadership skills, but in excess, sharp, aggressive, critical, angry, jealous, and just overly critical. And remember, that criticism, external, internal. So there's a sharpness. They're not teachable. You can see when they're balanced, they're passionate, they're great teachers, really excited about life, really want to share things. Turn that heat up too high, and we've got a problem. We've got anger, we've got criticism, we've got judgmentalism. And so what's interesting about Pitta too is that it governs from 20 to 60. So this is the time when we are building in our lives. We're going to college and, getting our degrees, we're getting into relationships, we're starting families, we're starting careers, we're building homes and houses. So it's that building phase of our life. But again, what we want to be careful of is that too much is going to burn us out. Just the right is going to give us that energy to get through this period of our lives, which is the building and the growing. And then the last part is Vata. And Vata is really interesting because it's the last stage of life. So it's 60 plus. I like to call them the wisdom years. And the wonderful thing about Vata is that on the positive, we describe Vata as reflecting life force or prana. So it's but its main manifestation is through the nervous system. So if we go back, we see that Kapha has to do with the structure of the body, stability, lubrication. Pitta has to do with fire and digestion and metabolism and light and warmth in the body. And now Vata has to do with life force, but it's primarily seen through our nervous system. It has an affinity with the nervous system. So what happens is, on the positive, what it does is it provides motivation and energy for all of our physiological functions. Remember, thinking, expression, breathing, digesting, metabolizing, elimination, circulation. This is all the physiological functions of the body. Vata is responsible for those. So it's that life force. So what it does is, not only does it provide energy and movement and vitality for growth and change, but on the negative side, when things start to kind of speed up, what it does is it causes degeneration of the body, disease, and the aging process. So that's when things kind of start to speed up too much. And like Vata is synonymous to the wind. And so like the wind, what Vata does is it creates lightness, and dryness and mobility and coldness in the body. These are its qualities. This is how we see how a dosha can go out of balance. And so what it does is, on the one hand, it's stimulating, it's energizing, but in excess it can be disturbing and create kind of a destabilization of like a super sensitive nervous system, and then a mind that tends to be kind of really super sensitive to its external environment. So on the one hand, there's this ability to take in lots of information, to be like very sensitive, creative, and be able to like multitask and understand a lot of things. But in excess, what it does is it creates agitation, fear, overwhelm, emotional swings, and instability. And so what Ayurveda says is that Vata is the force behind life. It gives us life, it animates the physical body and the mind, but it is also the main factor behind physical and physiological disease. And so this is the one kind of like we have to pay attention to all three of them, but Vata needs special attention because it can go out of balance really quickly. So what I've done in this video is I've given you a breakdown of the three doshas and what their their structural and physiological functions are. And I've tried to give you a picture of what positive manifestation is and what a negative manifestation is. And so now that we understand that there's Vata, Pitta, Kapha in the world, like in every single body, they all have a function. And then in the next video, what I'm going to do is, now we're going to get to you. Finally, I'm going to tell you how Vata, Pitta, and Kapha manifest individually. So what do you look like? What's your personality like? What are you going to be attracted to? What's your house going to look like? Your garden, your clothes? More will be revealed in our next video. So bye for now.